If if we look at the planet as if it were a patient, we can see that our activities have been damaging her immune system, and she has been struggling to function and thrive due to the strain we have put on her vital organs. To treat her, we need to restore balance and put nature back at the center of the circle. And to achieve this, we must act for health and well-being, understand nature's patterns and cycles, recognize the value of diversity, unity, and the interdependence of all living things, consider the importance of innovation and adaptation, and invest in nature-based solutions to help stimulate a more circular bioeconomy that gives back to nature as much as we take from her. Now, I can only hope that as this current crisis passes, we are able to reflect on and shape the type of world we want for ourselves and for future generations. The 75 years after the Second World War saw unprecedented growth, rising longevity, and poverty reductions. But all this put an overwhelming strain on our environment. The good news is that we have many of the solutions to hand. Renewable energy is now cheaper than fossil fuels. Our agriculture and land use can be more resilient, healthy and productive if we do not degrade our land, destroy our forests, and poison our water. Unfortunately, we so often forget that we are profoundly dependent on nature for our lives and livelihood. So, how do we balance the need to rebuild economic prosperity, the need to get people back to work against environmental concerns? Investing sustainably now can be a fast, efficient, and attractive way to reboot our economy. Therefore, what should be the principles that underlie the reshaping of a new and better global economic system? To seize this window of opportunity, I believe we need to do 5 things. First of all, to create momentum for the Great Reset, we need to capture the imagination and will of humanity. We will only change if we really want to change. Secondly, the global economic recovery must set us on a new trajectory of sustainable employment, of livelihoods and economic growth. To achieve scale, we must not be afraid to reorientate our long-standing incentive structures, which have been having such perverse effects on our planetary environment and on nature herself, if we are to reap the benefits afforded by a more sustainable world. Thirdly, we must redesign systems and pathways to advance net zero transitions globally. And in this regard, carbon pricing can form a critical pathway to genuinely sustainable markets. This reset moment is our opportunity to accelerate and align our efforts to create truly global momentum. Countries, industries, and businesses moving together can create efficiencies and economies of scale that will allow us to leapfrog our collective progress and accelerate our transition. Fourthly, we must reinvigorate science, technology, and innovation. This crisis has shown the importance of investing in science, technology, and innovation. We are on the verge of catalytic breakthroughs that will alter our view of what is possible and profitable within the framework of a sustainable future. And fifthly, we must rebalance investment. Accelerating sustainable investment could offer significant economic growth and employment opportunities, including in green energy, the regeneration of nature and landscapes, circular bioeconomy, ecotourism, and green public infrastructure. It is time, therefore, to align sustainable solutions with funding in a way that can transform the marketplace. This would be the most dramatic act of responsible leadership ever seen by the global private sector, and would at once provide a catalytic incentive for the public sector to follow. We have a golden opportunity to seize something good from this crisis. Its unprecedented shockwaves may well make people more receptive to big visions of change, and global crises like pandemics and climate change know no borders and highlight just how interdependent we are as one people sharing one planet.
A huge global network of elitists, the super rich, and they have a world agenda which they themselves announced and said that their goal is that we all own nothing and be happy about it. In this video, I'm going to be talking about that. This is something that many people have talked about and are unsure about, but the reason I'm talking about this today is because I recently attempted to become a member of the World Economic Forum. It cost £500,000 a year to join the network, and guess what? I got £500,000. So I reached out to them and I said, hey, I got £500,000, I want to be a member of your network. And they would not have me as a member.
Denied.
Which made me think, why not? So not only do you have to be really stinking rich, I've never felt so poor. When I applied to be a member of the World Economic Forum, which literally have got people, they're all associated with all the politicians and Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, all these folks are all in this network. And I'm like, well, I'm rich now. I want to join. I want to help save the planet. I want to make the world a better place, which is what you guys all want. That's what their whole thing is about. Let me join. And they gave me a little checklist and they said, what is your net worth? Is it between $1 million and $1 billion? Is it between $1 billion and 10 billion? Is it between 10 billion and 100 billion? I was like, damn, I'm right at the bottom of the food chain, but listen, I can still afford your £500,000 a year membership, and I am a multi-millionaire. My net worth's 20 million at least, so come on, let me in. And they didn't even respond. And I've been trying to become a member and they haven't responded. So I did some investigation into who they are and what their agenda is. And the results were shocking. And I think it's almost verging on evil. So I'm going to talk about my factual findings and then let you decide. When the World Economic Forum said that their agenda is that we will own nothing and we will be happy, the only optimistic way to look at this is that everything will become subscription based and we will not need to own things, and that is why we will be happy about it. For example, I don't own any DVDs anymore. I don't own CDs. I don't own things like that because it's now not essential, because the world has moved on with its agenda. Now we have subscriptions such as Netflix, such as Spotify. There also definitely seems to be an agenda that instead of owning houses, that we now rent. Again, our whole life is rented and leased on a subscription basis. Our cars, we're being incentivized to use public transport and to go electric and to lease cars. So the world is moving away from owning what you have and leasing and renting what you have. Now, while that may not sound like a bad thing, and it's okay to lease everything, it's the way of the world, the scary part of that is that if everything is leased by these big tech companies, what happens if they don't like us? What happens if we step out of line and they decide to cancel us on a individual level, like they did with the Russians, where they just said, no more Netflix? They don't have DVDs. If they cut off the supply of what you're leasing, what it does is it gives them complete control and complete power. And most of these people in these groups are billionaires or multi-billionaires. And it almost seems to me like when money is no object anymore, the next high is world power and control and domination. That's a scary thought. Interesting that Prince Charles is a member, the Chinese president is a member, the banks are a member. There's massive world banks that are members of the World Economic Forum, and they're telling us to stop buying houses, to not own things. They're decentralizing the ability to even own a property. Yet, what are they doing? What are the banks doing? Well, we know that Lloyds Bank right now in the UK, BlackRock, what are they all doing? They're buying houses en masse, and then they are renting them out to us. So when they say own nothing and be happy, really what I think they're saying is you will own nothing and be happy, and we will own everything and be even happier. They're calling this the Great Reset. And people are celebrating the Great Reset because they're broke, because they don't own things, and they're saying, yeah, let's just let the government and the rich just reset everything, and the Great Reset sounds like a good idea. I'm sorry, but to me, the Great Reset sounds like a horrible idea. In fact, anything that's ever started with the great in history has always ended in destruction. The Great Depression, the Great Leap Forward, the Great Recession, the Great War. Whenever anything starts starts with the great and has a world agenda behind it, it has always ended in destruction and devastation for the general public. But what about all the celebrities, though, that are endorsing it? What about all the big A-list celebrities that are standing behind the movement and saying, yes, this is wonderful, this is going to help the world? Well, you know what? Whenever the celebrities are all endorsing anything at the same time, you know what I generally do? Run.
And the way that we are evolved to live becomes more and more distant and remote. We don't live as tribes. We're not in control of our own resources. The idea that we will own nothing and we will be happy sounds like a terrifying, not Orwellian, but sort of Huxleyan idea, that we will be somered into compliance, drugged by a sort of a magical substance in our water, into dumb compliance with the objectives of the powerful while we live as kind of human drones.
The World Economic Forum currently has 3,000 paying members, and with membership costing around £500,000, the question is, where does that money go? And nobody knows where that money goes. And the truth is, it's probably to fund the government and the media. Have you ever noticed how the media and the government all seem to sing off the same song sheet and agree at the same time with the same things? And usually the agenda is to bash the rich and tell you, don't try and build a business, don't worry, we'll look after you. The agenda is to weaken men and break down families. And if you step out of line or say something they don't like, they will literally deplatform you. You can just suddenly overnight be vanished off of Instagram, off of YouTube, off of everywhere, and not have a voice anymore. No debate, no discussion, just cancelled, gone. Interesting. And I'm having to be extremely careful about what I say on this video. This video risks being deplatformed. Maybe I'll end up suddenly off of YouTube as well. But I just couldn't bring myself to not speak, at least based off of the research that I've done, and share my opinions on this matter. They train world leaders via their Young Global Leader program. Even Putin was trained by them. The World Economic Forum recently said that capitalism needs a dose of Marxism. No, capitalism does not need a dose of Marxism. Marxism has devastated everything it's ever touched. Just look back at history. Wake up. And the irony is so shocking, the fact that the royal family are members of the World Economic Forum, and then the World Economic Forum are telling us to own nothing when they literally own so much. Can we not see the irony? So what are the World Economic Forum actually doing apart from trying to get us used to the idea of owning nothing? What are they doing with their billions of pounds that they are raising through the World Economic Forum, where there's no trace of where the membership money actually goes? Well, it would appear to me that what they're doing is they are controlling the media so that people don't think for themselves anymore. You will vote how they want you to vote. They are trying to gain complete control of everything and everybody, and stripping financial literacy from people, keeping them dumb so they are slaves and workers. What should they be doing? Well, in my opinion, I'm all for the idea of a World Economic Forum. I'm all for an idea of wealthy people getting together, how to make the world a better place and change the planet. But what they should be doing is they should be bringing financial literacy into schools. They should be championing and incentivizing businesses giving to charity. They should stop taxing the hell out of small, struggling businesses. Relying on the government for you to be looked after always ends in poverty and devastation. We need to be relying on ourselves and being entrepreneurially minded and building businesses. And even though they're trying to discourage us buying properties with tax incentives to not, with legislation, with tenant eviction bans, scrapping Section 21, you know what I think? I think that now is the time to step forward and start owning as much land as we freaking possibly can right now while we have the opportunity to buy land, because it's very difficult for them to take it off us. That's why they're trying to discourage us from doing it in the first instance. So my advice is to buy as much land and property as you possibly can, and to build wealth in such a way that it's sustainable and adaptable right now in 2022. And I don't want to bring a message of negativity and doom to you right now through YouTube. So the question is, what should you do as an independent person, as an entrepreneur? How are some of the ways that you can react to and deal with this world plan to stop this happening? Because that is exactly what we will do. Well, firstly, I would say stop blindly following celebrities' opinions, because they are often paid by these people to share their opinions. Have critical thinking from the media and do not be blinded as a sheep. Do not be sold the lies of the government about looking after you financially. It is a trap. Become financially independent and share the message far and wide for all to see. Now, I have a saying that says, if you can change it, and if you can't, shut up.